Right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. So glad that you're all here today. It's so exciting to see so many people interested in eco villages in Costa Rica, interested to hear from Stephen Brooks. I'll tell you, he is a busy guy who was hard to pin down for this event. So I'm really happy that we got him on and looking forward to learning from Stephen, from hearing about all of the projects that he's involved in, all of the eco villages and intentional communities that he's helped to create. So, warm welcome to you all. My name is Cynthia. I'm going to be the co-host for today's event. I'm the founder of Ecovillage Tours, which is offering 4 trips this winter in Costa Rica. And I know we have a few people on today who are already registered for our trips. Hi, Robin. Welcome. Good to see you. And Zev is here as well. That's awesome. I see a few people who already live in Costa Rica in communities are even joining today. We had over 200 people register for this event. Just phenomenal interest in what's happening in this special part of the world, interest in more regenerative ways of living. I really feel like we need that right now, right? We really need to explore more community-led approaches towards sustainable living, towards a regenerative future. Oh, there's Jason. Hi, Jason. Welcome. Jason's one of our lead Costa Rica Ecovillage tour guides. Amazing. All right, well, while we're still waiting for more folks to trickle in, I was thinking it could be fun to do a poll together on Zoom so we can get more of a sense for who's with us today. So I'm going to launch this poll, and you should see it pop up on your screen now. And the question is, what brings you here today? So you can choose you can check off as many as apply to you. I want to join a community in Costa Rica. I want to start or co-found a community. I'm thinking about moving to Costa Rica. I want to visit on an eco-village tour. And I'm just curious and learning. That's kind of the catch-all there at the end. So go ahead and fill out that poll so we can get a sense for who's with us today. All right, amazing. I love seeing all the numbers come in. Thanks for filling that out. Excellent. Looks like we still need 10 more people to fill out the poll. I know maybe if you're driving or doing something, you can't do it, but if you can, go ahead and fill in that poll now. Excellent. Okay, I think that's good enough. I'll go ahead and end the poll and share the results. Here we go. So, looks like here with us today, we have quite a few people who want to join or start a community. Amazing. A little bit more of you want to join a community instead of starting one. A lot of people thinking about moving to Costa Rica. Show of hands, is anyone already living in Costa Rica now? Yeah, Zev, I know. Welcome. I'm so happy you're here. Good to see you. And Andrea, excellent. Jason, of course. Okay, a few. Excellent. All right, and then we have 37% want to visit on an Ecovillage tour. Amazing. And I know we have some people who are already registered for one of our tours. That's great. And a lot of folks just curious and learning. Beautiful. All right, so while we are still having people arrive and getting settled, I'm thinking that I could start with my presentation and get us warmed up. Oh, there's Stephen. Oh, thanks, Rebecca. You put the spotlight right on him. Hey, Stephen.
Yeah,
Hi.
great to see you all.
Great to have you here. How are you doing today?
Amazing. So good.
Good, good. Really happy that you could join us.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, I'm going to start with a short presentation, Stephen, and kind of get people warmed up and a little bit more oriented to Ecovillage tours.
Great.
Then I'll hand the floor over to you, and I would love to hear what's in your brain these days, what you're working on. I think we have a lot of people joining who are also new to you and your work. So getting a little bit of your background, a little bit of your story as well would be fantastic.
Awesome.
All right, let's do it. Okay, I'll share my screen. Here we are. Excellent. Okay, so here we are. If you're just coming in, for discovering the future of regenerative living in Costa Rica. I'm really excited to be co-hosting the event today with Stephen Brooks, the one and only, the person in my mind who is the sort of visionary behind multiple intentional community and regenerative projects in Costa Rica. So this is somebody who has decades and decades of experience with creating community. So my hope today is that you can learn about what's happening in Costa Rica, how you can get involved if you're thinking of joining a community in the country, and we saw from the poll many of you are, or get inspiration if you're thinking of starting a new community. And we all know that we need more of these projects, especially right now in this world, in this crazy time. We need models for the future that are truly regenerative and more community oriented. So that's what we're here to talk about today. And I'll mention Ecovillage Tours. So this is the company that I started actually back in 2019, but we had a bit of a slow start with COVID and everything happening. So really in 2023, we got underway, and since that time have led 14 trips in 8 countries. So these are multi 1 week to 2 week long trips where we visit usually about one intentional community each day. So through our trips, we've been able to bring more than 100 participants to visit more than 100 communities around the world, really helping to strengthen that network and get people access to the places that are driving regeneration and change on our planet. I want to make sure you know, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because we have another event tomorrow where we're going to go a lot deeper, but I want to make sure you know about our Costa Rica Ecovillage tours. We're offering one trip each month in January, February, March, and April. And our January trip is already starting to fill up, but we do have spaces on these trips for you to go and visit the communities that we're going to learn about from Stephen here today. So if you want to learn more, ecovillagetours.com/Costa Rica. And as I mentioned, we've hosted trips all around the world, but we're really focusing on many trips in the country of Costa Rica because it's such a special place. So what's so special about Costa Rica? Here's a map just so we can get oriented in where we are in the world. Costa Rica, if you don't know, is a global hotspot for intentional community living. We have connections with over 30 communities in the country, all that have amazing eco-architecture, food systems, and many have openings for new members. The country of Costa Rica as a whole runs on 92% renewable energy. Isn't that incredible? Like a lot of the communities we visit, our participants are like, well, are you off grid? Is your energy sustainable? And the community's like, well, we're actually plugged into the grid and the grid here isn't that bad. It's pretty sustainable. No army. Costa Rica abolished its army in the 1950s. So all of those resources that, at least here in the United States, I mean, a mind-boggling amount of resources funneled into the military that can go towards social services and improving the country as a whole. Really welcoming culture. I think we hear that time and time again from all of our participants who visit, just really struck by the welcoming culture of the people who live there. You got the warm tropics, but also a lot of mountains, so you can get to those cooler, higher elevations, and relatively easy to stay long term. Really quite easy compared to other parts of the world to come and stay as a foreigner. So our trips are kind of unique in that we are the only travel company bringing groups to eco-villages and intentional communities. with expert Ecovillage guidance, really support in learning about the places that you go to, all-inclusive trips, all of your meals, transportation, lodging, everything's covered so that you can kind of have this vacation while you're also learning and exploring about community. And then my last point here, connection with community. And when I say that, I don't only mean the communities that you visit, but also the community that's formed in the traveling group that you are journeying with. These are some photos of the groups that we've had come down, just beautiful, tight bonds formed over this big adventure. Most of our trips are like 1 week to 10 days long, and just amazing connections and really lifelong friendships. So I want to let you know about this very special discount code. Actually, Stephen came up with this discount code, Monkeys, which will give you $200 off your next trip. So maybe you want to write that down if you want to get a little discount on any of our Costa Rica tours, which are starting to fill up. And that's just about all that I have for you. Rebecca. Rebecca's here as part of our Ecovillage Tours team, and she and Jason are hosting an event tomorrow. So let me put the spotlight on you, Rebecca. Do you want to share about what's happening tomorrow?
Oh, sure. Well, today, of course, we want to hear from Stephen Brooks and for him to share all of his amazing experience in Costa Rica and all the great projects he's created and curated and cultivated and all the community building. So I know for folks who want to see his communities, as well as kind of dive into the experience themselves and join a tour, there might be some logistical questions. You might have some, vague, hey, what would this really mean for me? What's the pricing? What is available? And so Jason Thomas is actually carving out some time tomorrow, and he and I are going to host an interactive Q&A webinar to answer questions like that. So yay, that'll be exciting. And we're here as a resource to help. I'm our chief connection coordinator with Ecovillage Tours, and Jason Thomas is the lead organizer for the Costa Rica trips that we're hosting in 2026. So we're glad to be here to, assist you in really connecting you with the right travel opportunity if you're wanting to move to Costa Rica or if you're simply wanting to go on a fun vacation and educational experience. So yes, thank you, Cynthia. And I hope that we can connect with y'all tomorrow if you have any questions about what it would take to sign up for a tour.
Beautiful. Thank you, Rebecca. Yeah, thank you both to Rebecca and Jason for being available. Oh, and Rebecca, you didn't say, but so Rebecca is an alumni. She was on one of our first Ecovillage tours in Costa Rica. So, and then later decided to join the team.
Yes, it's true. I was honored to join the Ecovillage Tour in Costa Rica, and it was 2024. Built lifelong friendships. The communities are very established, so it's very inspiring, very informative, and the food was really good too. So that was awesome. I like the Pura Vida lifestyle. Very good. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking now.
Thank you, Rebecca. Beautiful. All right. Well, I think that's all that we had as part of our preamble here. And now we can get ready to hear from the one and only Stephen Brooks. I'm
Mm.
going to stop my screen share here. And welcome once again, Stephen. Thank you so much for being here today and yeah, and making the time to share with us. I know you got a lot going on, and we're very excited to hear about it. And I also wanted to say too, by way of introduction, you've definitely been one of the people in my life that's inspired me as a younger person in this movement and learning and visiting communities. And I've really learned a lot from you each time our paths have crossed.
Mm.
In fact, going back to 2013, I did a Ecovillage Design Education course at Inanita in Nicaragua.
Mm.
And
Is that
you
what
were
you
one of
meant?
the, yeah, yeah. And you
Wow.
were one of the presenters who came. That was the first time I connected with you. And
Amazing.
I hadn't been to Punta Mona, but I saw you give a whole presentation about it. It was very inspiring.
Oh, amazing. Amazing. And I just want to honor your humility. Just, I mean, your just wealth of experience and knowledge and yeah, just the depth that you've dove into this movement is just like so impressive. And yeah, I mean, just the fact that you're doing this. I mean, I just think all of you are so lucky that this even exists. It's such a It's such an amazing tool. It's such an amazing resource. Ironically, I'm in Miami right now visiting my parents, and I don't know, you know how like friends of your parents, like my friend is involved in this real estate project in Costa Rica, and he wants you to come present at this luncheon. So I just went to like the most conventional, well, it was like a real estate company, like this big international real estate company selling real estate in Costa Rica. And they asked me to speak there. And I said, actually, I need to leave right now because I'm rushing to go part of this webinar about Ecovillage. And people were like, Eco what? And it just, I kind of just the spectrum, like where are we on the spectrum of waking up to another possibility of the way we design things? So they asked me, like, what does that even mean? And, it means something, I think, different for so many people. There's kind of this vague distinction between eco-village, intentional community. There's all these kind of different terms. And, I don't think there's a right answer. I think that maybe Cynthia, you probably have sat in congresses where they're trying to, I'm sure you've sat in some,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
trying to figure it out. And I mean, just the simplest way that I would, yeah, I mean, it's designing the places where we live with way more intention and care for the ecosystems that we are coming into. Like, how can we design our homes and our communities beyond our homes to be way more sensitive to the ecosystems that we're inhabiting? And this, probably for all of you as, the choir, this is something that we're so familiar with. We want to, have real care. And then there's this whole kind of shift that's happened. Punta Mona used to be called the Punta Mona Center for Sustainable Living and Education. And about 12 or 15 years ago, we changed it to the Punta Mona Center for Regenerative Design and Botanical Studies. And this shift from sustainable to regenerative. And, if I was to say, oh, Cynthia, how are you and your partner doing? And you were to say, oh, yeah, we're sustainable. Oh, I'd be saying, oh, I'm so sorry. I know this really great, love coach. If you need support, oh, you're only sustainable. Like, oh no, like sustaining means you're just getting by. Like that is not okay. We don't want to just get by. We want to thrive and we want to make things better. So we want to come into the places where we're living. It's like I'm from Florida and they create communities here, and what they do is they literally cut every single tree. They completely bulldoze the whole place and make it all a certain way. And then they come in and they bring in these huge trucks. I saw one today as on my drive home from Miami Beach, these huge trucks with like giant palm trees. And, they dig up these huge trees and then replant them. And it's just like, what?
Yeah.
So it's so crazy. I mean, in this day and age, like we can't do that anymore. We can't, I just think, wow, humanity, we could do so much better. And then especially in places like Costa Rica, which has such an incredible high percentage of the world's biodiversity, like every, 10 hectares literally could have an endemic species that only exists within
Mm.
that 10 hectares. You go over 10 hectares and it's slightly different, And so I'm going to rewind a little bit and kind of just give you a little bit of my background. I just got all excited about, yeah, just where I just came from, and just, yeah, just the spectrum of the kinds of people that are moving to Costa Rica. And so I grew up right here in Miami, Florida, where I am right now visiting my family. And yeah, very conventional parents. My dad, well, kind of. My dad, he's been to Burning Man 18 times, but 25 years ago, he was pretty conventional dentist, Miami, in Miami. He was actually born here, which is pretty rare. I became really passionate about nature kind of through the ocean. My dad was um, really into fishing, and he was a dentist of an island in the Bahamas. So I went back and forth to the Bahamas a lot in my childhood and became really into nature. And then just to fast forward, I went to Costa Rica for the first time on vacation to visit my girlfriend at the time, and totally fell in love with the country, fell in love with the people, with the rainforest, with the coral reefs, with, yeah, just the vibe. And when I say the people, the Costa Rican people, and then the Nicaraguan people, and then the Afro-Caribbean people, where I mostly 25 years of my 31 in Costa Rica was on the Caribbean side. The Afro-Caribbean culture, which a lot of people don't know, but the east side of Costa Rica is mostly people from Jamaican and Barbadian descent. which is very interesting culture. And then a much smaller percentage, the indigenous culture, which is also a lot more present on the Caribbean side of Costa Rica. And while I was down in Costa Rica, falling in love with the country, I went and visited the town of Bribri. Bribri is the indigenous administrate the town that's kind of like the administrative center of the indigenous Bribri people. And on my way there, I was meandering through the forest to get there, and all of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, literally as far as beyond the horizon were banana plantations. And I don't know really what came over me, but I decided like at the last minute, here I am in my little, Suzuki rent a car. And I just like turned and decided to drive right into the plantation just to like be immersed in it. I don't know why I even have that drive to do that. But then all of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, I watched this airplane coming down, and it had a huge stream of smoke behind it. It actually, literally, my stomach dropped because I thought it was about to crash, and it went right over my car, and I felt my eyes and my face start burning. And I watched it fly right over a playground full of indigenous children playing soccer, and realized this is a banana crop duster spraying a neurotoxic chemical on
Mm.
these incredible people, these indigenous people that have literally treated the earth like an extension of their bodies for centuries. And yeah, it was just so devastating. And, my initial reaction was I wanted to point and blame, it's like I wanted to blame Monsanto or Dow Chemical or Chiquita Banana or the Costa Rican government. I just wanted to blame. And then as I really started to think about it, it's like, blame me, man. I was slicing those things into my, breakfast cereal my whole childhood. And soon after that, I got turned on to this book called Breakfast of Biodiversity. I don't even know if it's even around anymore, but it just like it connected me to, yeah, I mean, this devastation that's happening not only to the rainforest, but to the indigenous culture that live there. And so I started a company called Costa Rican Adventures in 1995, bringing high school and college students down to Costa Rica with the goal of showing the beauty and the magic of Costa Rica. But then I really wanted to show the reality of the rainforest destruction and the cultural decimation of the indigenous people and the multinational industrial agricultural hell that was unfolding. And not only in Costa Rica with bananas, but it's unfolding globally around the world with all different kinds of industry. And I all of a sudden it was just like I was in the deepest of slumbers and just got like jolted awake to the reality of how broken our world and our systems are. And so, yeah, and so it was like from that moment, it's like I am ready to dedicate my life to figuring out if there's another way to do things. And the kind of the word, that came to me, and soon after, I guess a couple of years later, I was already living in Punta Mona. I was already bringing student groups down, and I first heard the word permaculture. And permaculture, if you're not familiar, I'm sure that you all are, but if you're not, it comes from two words, permanent and culture. And it was coined by a guy named Bill Mollison and his student David Holmgren in the early 70s. And they were in Tasmania, Australia, and they were witnessing the design that was unfolding. Everything from all of a sudden, the little stores were selling things that were imported from Sydney and from Melbourne and from Europe. And probably, white men from Europe were shaking hands with other white men in Sydney, making deals to create huge garbage dumps and macro septic systems, water treatment plants. And all of a sudden, just things started getting designed very macro. And they were just like, wait a minute, who is making these decisions, and how could this be happening? How could things be done this way without any regard for our culture? And when I think about permanent culture, I think about like my childhood growing up here in Miami, and then, I'd go on vacation to North Carolina or to New York or to Colorado or to California as a child. And all of those places were so different. Even though they're all in the United States, they had different stores, they had different food stores, they had the architecture was different, the restaurants, things were just different in each place I went. And now it doesn't matter where you go, it's all monocultured. Often we think about monoculture as just one crop, but what it really means is one culture. And one culture is so boring, And now, even in Costa Rica, there's streets you drive down, and every single chain restaurant is like on the same street, And it's just like is this, or whether it's, Office Depot or Walmart, or down there it's called Price Mart, but it's really just Costco, and it's like, how can this be happening? And how can we be so numb, so numb to the way things are unfolding around us? And yeah, and again, just, that kind of glimpse of the banana plantations that day, and just the vision that we can do so much better. And so uh, I'd say if you ever reproduce this video, Cynthia, and you put a little title under my name, I'd say first and foremost, I am an ethnobotanist. Ethnobotany is the study of the relationship between human beings and plants. I am so incredibly passionate about this relationship. And I also carry an incredible responsibility of, being a kind of a plant translator. It's like, everywhere I go, it's like, some people notice the cars or the architect. I'm just like, I can't even see anything else usually. I'm just like so tuned in with the plants. And in places like Costa Rica, where there is so many species of plants, and each one singing its most beautiful song, and just moving through time with this just symphony of plant song. I just, I feel so blessed, and I also feel this great responsibility. So I am the pastor of the Church of Fruit. Hallelujah! I only have one rule. I only have one rule in my reality: is every time I say Church of Fruit, you have to scream, Hallelujah!
Hallelujah.
I don't like rules, but
Let's all do it.
that's one rule that I stand by. And I actually was just in New York City the other day and did it for 150 people. And part of my mission there is really just to help people to connect to spirit and creation and to God through the beauty and magic of fruits that they probably have never even tried before. And this is, yes, this is such an exciting time, because there are, like, you wouldn't even believe the nerdy Facebook groups that I'm in. Like, you just wouldn't even believe it. Like, I'm in a deep, 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 deep rabbit hole of plant nerds. And there's like, just like maybe like 20 or 30 of us that are like very active in these groups. And what's happening because of Facebook is that there's people all around the world, whether you're in Sri Lanka or you're in Brazil or you're in Thailand or you're in Israel or you're in Miami or you're in Hawaii. There's people collecting plants, and they're having deep experiences, and they're sharing not only experience, they're not only sharing their experience, but they're sharing their genetics, and now, we have friends in Cameroon that are literally domesticating for the first time ever the most incredible plants. I mean, some of the best foods on earth you've never heard of, like, and you're not even close to having, and I'm like without judgment, like, you haven't even close to heard of them. Just to give you an example, there's this fruit called safu, Safou. Has anybody heard of it? I'd be really surprised. Yeah, I mean, and it's just like one of the most exciting foods out there. It's the other name of it is African butterfruit. It's like one of the fruits it's like this purple little pickle looking thing, and it's like butter, you know. And I mean, my point being is that we're in such an exciting time, and there's and another thing that's very exciting is that when I got into this, even like 10 or I've been in it for 30 years, but even 10 years ago, there was it was kind of like this. I hate to keep referring to white men, but this like white man mentality of the collector. Like, I just flew to Sri Lanka, I collected this plant, it's growing in my yard, even though it's making lots of seeds now, I'm not going to give them to anybody because I worked so hard to get it myself. So there was this kind of like collector, like hoarding mentality, and I feel like that's now dissolved. What's happening now in this plant collecting reality is people are sharing and are excited to share and spread the seed. So I could literally just talk this whole time about seeds, but I'm gonna shift over to so in about 2005, my father was retiring after being a dentist for 35 years, and I was so passionate and so dedicated that I knew that we could do better. What I was doing at Punta Mona was great, but it was more of a retreat center, more of like a permaculture school. There you go. Look at that Safu. Yum.
Mika.
Mm, yes. Um, look how good that looks. Oh my God. So, so I knew that we had to do more, and I knew, I was getting older, my parents were getting older, I was thinking about children and thinking about my aging parents and what might that look like. And it just hit me, being so immersed in permaculture, I was thinking, wow, we could design our own community, our own village, and that sounds so lofty and such like a great undertaking, and it is. But yeah, I mean, I got really clear on the criteria, and that's something that I really like to focus on is, and this for all of you as you are in this search for the right community. I would invite you to really try to get really clear on your criteria, and you can start all around the macro. Like, is it in Illinois, or is it in Costa Rica, or is it in Portugal, or is it wherever you might be thinking? Get really clear on your criteria. And we got really, really, really um, clear on our criteria by, yeah, I mean, first I knew Costa Rica, and then I knew that I wanted to be closer to San Jose because Punta Mona was so far. I wanted to be within 1 hour of San Jose, 1 hour of the airport. I knew that I wanted to be somewhere between 400 and 800 meters above sea level because of the climate that's there for growing food. It's this interesting edge where you can still grow the deep tropical fruits, but it's high up enough where you can start to grow some of the vegetables. I knew that I wanted to be on a crystal clear river that ideally I can lay naked on a big hot boulder. I hope that's okay to say that, Cynthia, and bask in the sun until I get all hot and crispy, and then I could roll into the water and drink it if I want. Again, this is my dream, my criteria. You could make it as lofty or as small as you want. And then I knew that I wanted to find land that was already deforested or already had been really, yeah, it just had been, deforested so that we can come in and reforest it. Often gringos and Americans will come down to the Costa Rica and they'll see this big tree or this epic waterfall and they'll be like, oh, let's buy it and try to start a community. It's like, what are you going to start cutting down the rainforest and how are you going to, you're not going to be able to grow any food because it's too shaded. And so that was a very, very clear part of the criteria. And what I will say, Mika, is the clearer you get on your criteria, the better chance you'll find where you're looking. This could be if you're looking for a wife or a husband, or if you're looking for a property or trying to get a job, whatever it is the clearer you are with the criteria, the better chance you're going to find it. So as you go on an Ecovillage tour, like go in having really thought about it, this what you're seeking or not, or just be totally open and be in just let spirit guide. But I really think having clear criteria will help you to make your decision. And then, and so I literally drove. I remember like it was yesterday with my friend Christian Carranza. We dropped a friend off at the airport in San Jose, and we drove straight to San Mateo. The day before, I was at my friend Juan Pablo Barjona's mother's house, and she had a newspaper, like the Costa Rican newspaper, which I very rarely read, but I just happened to be just sitting there. I picked it up and read it, and it had an article about the top 10 cleanest rivers in Costa Rica, and it had a little map there. And most of them were like down in the south by Golfito or like in different areas, but there was two that were very close to San Jose. And literally it was called the Jesus Maria and the Machuca River. And literally the next day we drove there to yeah, to look for land. And we had very clear criteria. We were looking for land that was ideally in cattle pasture or had already been radically disturbed. That was big enough to support, a certain size community, which then now looking back on it, I would have done some things differently. It was a little small and limiting. So the first community that we started was called La Ecovilla. It was on 17 hectares, 46 acres. We broke it into originally 42 lots. I think now it's 46 lots. We sold lots to people from like 18 countries. My dad was integral to the whole thing. Like I never could have done all of this without him. And then 2 years later, my 2007 Burning Man camp bought the property up the street. I'm very much into Burning Man. If you've never been, I recommend it. It's a great place to find. Have you been to Burning Man, Cynthia?
I have not, but I've
Next,
been peripheral.
next year.
Okay.
So 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 in 2007, our Burning Man camp, I'm just like, what the hell are we doing, you guys? It's so much work. We spend so much money, and then at the end of the week, we take it all down. Like, let's buy the property up the street from Ecovilla, and we did, and that's now called the Tacotal Collective, which I think you guys also visit.
Yep, we do. That's also on the January trip.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So Tacotal is, yeah, it was a little bit different. The structure, like I'm sure that you've talked and you will talk a lot about invisible structures. Um, Ecovilla is a condominium. We bought the land, and there's what's called condominium law, not like condominium like a building, but it's the legal structure of buying the land, breaking it into smaller lots, co-owning the communal areas. It comes with a whole set of rules and regulations like fire hydrants and the width of the roads, and there's all this reality there. And then what you do is you can sell any size lot pretty much, very small if you want. And then you actually transfer title to that lot. And then those buyers become partial owners of the corporation that owns the common areas. So then Tacotal was very different. We had a much smaller budget. The way I set it up was very interesting. I raised from 6 different groups $50,000. So I raised $300,000. Each one of those $50,000 was broken into 4 subgroups. So each person put in $12,500. And this should be inspiring because this isn't like, oh yeah, I can't ever live in an eco village. I need to be a millionaire. It's like, no. The buy-in to Tacotal was $12,500. Now, since it was that cheap, the amenities and the infrastructure was way more basic, and still it's way more basic.
Yeah.
And also really beautiful. Basic for some people is more beautiful and more simple. So Tacotal is thriving right now. Wait till you see, since you were there last, Cynthia, like so many new houses, so many exciting things brewing at Tacotal right now. And then in 2000, and while all this was happening in 2011, I'm one of the co-founders of the Envision Festival. Anybody been to? No, Tacotal, Tacotal.
Tacotal.
Yeah. So if anyone, raise your hand if you've ever been to the Envision Festival.
I've been.
So the Envision Festival, again, like we wanted people to taste. And that's kind of how it inspired by Burning Man. We really wanted people to taste what it feels like to be engulfed by like-minded people in community. And even though it's only a week long, like you really got to taste what it would feel like. And a lot of even Alegría, which is what we started in 2018, was kind of launched. Ecovilla too. Like at Ecovilla, like we would be at Envision and I would set up like a whole stand, like want to move to Costa Rica and live in an eco village, like come and talk to me, and I every year at Envision I've been giving talks about this and I think more than anything, like rather than like trying to sell you on anything that I'm doing, I'm just would sell you on the idea to radically question everything and the way things are happening and the way things are unfolding around us in the world, because it's not working. And I'm sure you're all feeling that now more than ever. Like the political reality and the global reality is totally broken and sick. Love you, Dad. Want to say hi? This is my dad, Norman.
Yeah. Hi, Norman.
Buddy.
Hello. We've been hearing a lot about you and your inspiration and support to make everything happen there in Costa Rica. Amazing.
Ecovillage legend. We met in 2013 in Nicaragua.
We'll have a great seminar here.
Love you.
Love you.
My dad has literally hosted like 1,000 webinars about Alegría. I mean, none of like I said, none of these things would have been able to have been possible without his support, and also his just dedication and dedication to details that is like beyond what I'm ever capable of. And I know him and Jason here have a really beautiful relationship. They love each other a lot. They took the permaculture course together. And so, yeah, in 2018, we bought 170 acres, 70 hectares, which actually joined La Ecovilla and Tacotal. And that got broken into 145 lots and we sold 142 of them already. And some of
Mm.
them even have been resold. Like, and again, so now between these three communities, we have people from 40 countries, and it's just so beautiful. You walk into the playground, and just you never know what language is being spoken, and you see children from so many different places playing together, which is such a beautiful thing. And um, yeah, I often, like, I'm walking, like just the other day I was walking through Alegría, and I was just with a friend who had never been there. This friend of mine who's actually from he was actually just the star on, what's the name of that show? The Bachelor. He was the star on The Bachelor. So he was not familiar at all with Ecovillage reality. And I was walking with him, and almost as if I like set the whole thing up. We walked up to the yoga deck, and there was a karate class happening with like 20 kids in the yoga deck. And then we left the yoga deck, and like three toucans like swooped down below us. And then there was like two elderly couples walking together holding hands. And then we walked down to the garden, and there was like a whole group there like learning from the Costa Rican farm manager just about processing Jamaica, the hibiscus flower. It's just like as if like we were like Disney style, like setting up the absolute most magical moment to taste what it would feel like to live in a place like this. It was
Mm.
yeah, it's really, I feel so proud of it. What's unfolded there at Alegría. I think now there's like, I don't know, more than 50 houses built. And yeah, again, Cynthia and Jason, and when you guys go back there, you won't believe just how fast
Ah,
things are happening.
incredible, incredible. Congratulations. Yeah, and thank you for that vignette to bring us into what it might be like a day in one of these communities. So
Mhm. Yeah,
touching.
yeah, it's so amazing. And then I sold my shares in Envision, and my partner's Costa Rican. Her name is Andrea, and she was very involved in San Jose. Like, she had a fashion brand, and she started a fashion brand that was like, all local, like, and produced in Costa Rica, which kind of had gone away. As like the Chinese fast fashion came into the multi-plaza and the malls in San Jose, like any kind of Costa Rican designers just vanished. And so she kind of reignited that. She started this like local Costa Rican design store called El Espacio. And so she was hosting events and really trying to bring conscious culture into San Jose. So when we got together, she was loving what we were already doing. We were already She already loved what we were doing, but she brought just such a incredible sensitivity to yeah, just to the culture and to Costa Ricans. And I was in this talk just now with this like very conventional real estate guy, and he was saying, like, for him, when he moved to Costa Rica, like, he was moving at 1,000 miles an hour, and all the Costa Ricans around him were moving at like 10. And it's so interesting. People from like Western culture, they're doing breath work, and they're doing yoga, and they're drinking ayahuasca, and they're doing all of these things to try to like tap in and slow down, and try to even begin to understand what pura vida might even mean. And then they come to Costa Rica, those same people, and they're like so annoyed that the coffee is taking so long, and the waiter hasn't even brought the cream yet. It's just like, so it's I think that's something that's a very interesting reality, is starting to understand and slow down. And another thing that is interesting, this guy that was speaking, he was like, in Costa Rica, the power goes out, and just people go to the beach, and just like, maybe it'll come back in a couple hours, where like that happens in New York City, and people are like frantic, freaking out, my internet's down, like, and just like that paradigm shift of, yeah, the way we do things. So in the last years, all of that I learned from Punta Mona, which was like this education reality. Everything I learned from Envision, which was like bringing people together in joy and in celebration and in community through music and art and culture. And then everything through Ecovilla and Alegría and Tacotal kind of got rolled into what we're doing now, which is called Eterna, Eterna. You could throw it in the chat. It's Eterna,
Yes.
Eterna.earth. And we it's just so interesting how differently we're doing things, than we used to do things. I was on this TV show with Zac Efron. Maybe some of you have seen it. It was called Down to Earth with Zac Efron. And that show came out in July 10th of 2020, right as we were starting to sell lots in Alegría. And what happened was like literally like thousands of people started reaching out. This was in the heart of COVID, July 10th, 2020. People are all of a sudden seeing me in my crazy reality in Costa Rica. And they were like sight unseen wiring money to it was absolutely incredible what happened in some ways. And in other ways, I want to move a lot slower now. I want to be way more intentional. I want to spend way more time making sure that all of the individuals are the right fit for what we're doing there. We've started hosting events, and this I don't even know if I'm allowed to do this, but I'm gonna on I don't know. I think you're in the middle of a tour, but on January 29th. Are you in the middle of a tour, January 29th?
I think it might be wrapping up at that point.
Amazing. So on January 29th, we have Leah Song from Rising Appalachia and Ayla and Rosemary Gladstar, who's, the grandmother of modern herbalism, and all these amazing, Adriana Yas, all these amazing, educational fun. It's like, how can we have fun and learn? It doesn't have to be one or the other. I'm also the co-founder of a company called Ecoversity. And Ecoversity, we teach permaculture. If you've never taken a permaculture, I really, really like if you're really thinking about life in an eco village, you really should take a permaculture course. And where before it was like a 2 or 3 week journey where you had to go and stop everything else you were doing. Now and I was kind of like skeptical about even wanting to do it online, but it's so great. And you really have time to digest and really have time to work on your final projects. And then the other thing that we're doing and we're about to launch is a 6-month herbal certification. And next week we have a really beautiful free summit with Mark Hyman and Zach Bush and all these incredible. I actually have a live Instagram right after this with Zach Bush. If you've never met him or heard him speak, he is so inspiring. And yeah, so that's kind of what we're doing. So at Eterna, we're already starting to host a lot of events. This first one's called Step into the Ecoverse. It's January 29th, and we haven't even launched it. You guys are literally the first people to hear about it.
Wow.
And yeah, and then the other thing that we're doing at Eterna, which I feel like we missed the boat on Ecovilla and we missed the boat at Alegría, is we're creating what's called El Corazon. And the Corazon are 30 cabins, tiny homes with like the most epic common area and co-working and spa and cold plunge and sauna, where everybody doesn't want a second home. Everybody doesn't want to have to build or maintain or deal with that. So what we're doing is creating this reality where people can invest in the whole, come and spend 6 or 8 weeks a year. Ideally, everybody that's a part of it comes and stays for the same 6 or 8 weeks a year. And then the rest of the year, you're just co-owners in what is the most magical retreat center. Eterna is right on the beach. It's about 20 minutes north of Nosara, and it's 100 acres right on the beach in a town called San Juanillo. So it's really, if you go to Ecovilla and you walk the common areas and you walk the gardens, and then you go up to Alegría and you walk the common areas and you walk the gardens, you see kind of the evolution of where we're going. And I just feel like Eterna is right there moving in that evolution.
Ah, so cool. Yes, to see the progression from one project to the next.
Yeah.
And I love, there's a lot happening in the chat, a lot of conversations, people who said they were part of courses or events you've done. Just amazing, all of the activity. And I would want to welcome maybe at this point if folks have questions that they're sitting on or comments, want to bring you into the conversation as well. I know we had some people messaging saying that they're starting communities in different parts of the world. So great. Yeah, Eterna website. Very good. And Eterna is going to be on the April Ecovillage tour. So we have on the January one, that's the start of the year, that's going to be Alegría, Lake Ecovilla. and Collectivo Tacotal. And then on the April trip, Eterna will be on that one. And Mika says, yeah, she reminded me we end the January trip on January 25th.
Oh, amazing.
Maybe then
Great
on the
news.
29th, you could go to step into the
Amazing.
Ecoverse.
Yeah, step into the Ecoverse. It's
So cool. Yeah.
It would be magical.
Good, good.
Yeah.
So how do you feel, Stephen, about taking some questions? I think we had a
Yeah.
hand up over here. Your name says Jennifer Nesbitt.
Hey, Zev.
No, you don't want to have your hand up? No.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you know what? Often Instagram is a great place to communicate. So I'm putting my Instagram, IG, and I'm happy to put my email too, which I'm not as good on, but
Okay. There you go. Is your audio working now there?
Yeah, I am not Jennifer. That was my wife.
Okay. I
But
see.
somehow Zoom was registered under her name, and so
you can click the three little dots and do rename if you want. If you could, that's what I did. I got on my computer and it said my mom's name. You just click on the three dots, just so you know for the future.
I'll get it done. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I've got a little bit of history in Costa Rica. I work in the film industry in Canada, and it shuts down in November because of snow. So few pictures with snow in the background. So I spent 10 winters in Tamagringo and Nosara, really out on the Nicoya Peninsula. Fell in love with the country in 2005. So yeah, and in terms of intentional communities, been involved in that since, I guess, the late 90s when we guested at Sirius in Massachusetts or Connecticut in the forests there, and out in California at Davis Village Homes, doing the communities conferences. It's taken me just a little over 20 years to figure out how to build a community and give away the homes within about 10 years. I know that sounds radically crazy, but the numbers all work because we're planting a type of tree that's the fastest growing hardwood in the world, and it's available for harvest in 10 years as a lumber product with customers like Fender Guitars. Anyway, the dream that I'm chasing all just came together with these numbers to be able to pay back investors within 10 years and clear all debt. And then what do we do with the cabins? So some of my background is doing a sustainable village for homeless youth. North of Toronto is one of the core goals that I have in my lifetime, because there's over 5,000 kids under 25 that are homeless in Toronto through a Canadian winter. It's a total nightmare. It's part of the breakdown of the global system. At what point does it break? Well, this for me was back in the 90s. So it took me 20 years to figure out how to be able to give away homes to homeless people. And that's what I'm on target to. We have some mutual friends, Christy and Donnie Lalonde. Yeah,
You're the neighbor of Pomona.
your neighbors in Punta Mona.
Yeah.
So I did a cleanse at Pachamama. So I did a little tour with you of Ecovilla with Humano.
Oh yeah, cool.
Yeah. So that was you, me, and Humano kicking around Ecovilla, and it was like you were like a 7-year-old. I felt like a kid this other kid is showing me the best toys he's ever had. And it was like all these trees in people's front yards were bearing food. This was like an edible forest up either side of the roads in La Ecovilla. And you were picking fruit that I'd never eaten before and just handing it to me. And you and Humano were just like two kids talking about the same cool toys that I barely knew anything about.
Yeah, my best friend's kid is like 7. Looked at me the other day. She's like, "Steven, are you a teenager?" What? Why do you ask? She's like, "I don't know. There's just something about the way you are." So I'll take
Yeah,
it.
yeah, the same enthusiasm. So I had a great tour with you and Humano. Yeah, I'm going to come back down to Costa Rica this winter. I'm definitely chasing this this new possibility of it's, as I said, it took me until this past spring to figure out the numbers.
It's a
I
hard one, Polonia.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah,
Cool.
but a DNA strand that's non-invasive.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much for sharing your experiences and the work that you're doing as well. Feel free to put in the chat any message so people can follow you, especially about providing homes for people who don't have them. That sounded really inspiring. And your name as well, because we just
Yeah,
see
Billy.
Billy. Billy, yeah, Billy.
Yeah.
We've been communicating over email and connecting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, good to put a name to the face. Thank you so much. All
Yay.
right. I think we have time for just a few more hands up. Stephen, you have time for a few more?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's go to Elenezer.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
It's Eliezer. Um, I was wondering if Stephen could just say a little bit more of the stage of development that Eterna is at now, and also comment on, in terms of new members, age range. I'm 73 and I have stuff to offer, but what I don't have to offer is a lot of physical labor energy. So
Mhm.
I'm just like you to comment on those two things.
Yeah, totally. So where it's at right now, we just submitting right now the master plan for the permitting with Satana, which is like the governing board for permitting. It's a long journey. Like and there's so many details, like from infrastructure design to, just water and just roads. And there's so many electricity. There's so many little things and then what's weird about Costa Rica is once you submit, it's really hard to change. So you really want to, it's been a couple of years now of getting that dialed. And I was on a call this morning, like we're about to submit. We think the lots will be ready to transfer like in January or February, but we are right now ready. We could take investment now. We're doing a few different things. We're taking investors right now for what's called the Corazon, which is the retreat center kind of co-living reality, which is I feel like a lot of the other things we've done were lacking. And we just decided this week that we're going to sell 10 or 15 lots to the right kind of people. And as far as age, like that's one thing that I mean, my parents are 80, but a very young 80. Like I just said, my dad just went to his 18th Burning Man. Um, so we like, I think, more than ever, we're at a place of like deeply honoring our elders. Like this event that we're doing in January, like what has me most excited is that, Rosemary Gladstar's coming, Penny Livingston's coming, this woman, Jane Bothwell, is coming. It's like, it's time to really honor our elders and their wisdom, Eleazar. And I think that, it's like there's lots of strong hands in labor. Where we're lacking is the bridge to the wisdom of our elders. So I just want to honor you that you're even on this call and that you care. And I'd love for you to follow up with me, and we could definitely hop on a call and discuss it.
When do you envision like it actually up and running with and populated and
Yeah, I mean, I think ironically, it's already up and running. Like
oh, it is.
again, we have this event happening in January, and we'll have all kinds of volunteers there getting ready for it. We also just started this artist residency. I was just in New York City on Sunday. We just hosted the launch of this nonprofit that's called the Living Art Salon, where we're supporting artists. We just raised a bunch of money from a donor who's really trying to find ways to support struggling artists. And so that's happening in February. We have constant events starting to happen. A bunch of the people that have already kind of joined are renting little houses all around us right now and building. You know, people that are ready to start building can get, like, if you are ready to start building right now, you can get permits under the motherland even before the property is legally divided. So yeah, we move fast, and we're full throttle right now.
So there's no pre-built houses there.
There's no pre-built houses there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is there a ballpark buy-in figure?
Yeah, I think like the on the lower, obviously the property being on the beach, it's 4 times as expensive as anything I've ever dealt with. I think like on the lowest end lots will be like in the 150, 175 range, to the highest range, like, probably 600 or 700, just due to like the ocean view and everything. But when we took on this project, it felt really daunting by just the sheer price of the property. It was so much more expensive than anything I've ever done before. And I was intimidated, and I've so deeply fallen in love with the property. And yeah, so I'd love to dive in deeper with you, Eleazar.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks so much for your question.
Yes, thank you. Excellent questions. Beth, how about you next? And then Moz, you're on deck, and then we'll probably have to wrap up there. Go ahead, Beth.
Thanks. I have had the experience of buying into an HOA, homeowners association in Florida. And 2 weeks after I moved into that condominium and was attending my first board meeting, I went, "Oh, this was really a mistake." And I don't ever want to have that experience again. So I mean, you said that you were having people buy properties sight unseen. How are you making sure that these people are the right people? And how can I try out your community or other communities to know that this is the right fit for me?
Great question, Beth. So for one, I would start that I imagine that HOA that you bought into in Florida, the only thing all the people had in common was that they could afford and they were looking for something in that area. I'm assuming, most realities, there's no correlation of values or interest. I think one of the interesting things about an eco-village is that you are buying in with a group of people probably with very similar values. So I think that's one thing. That's like how I answer the first part of your question. The second part of your question, like, for example, Ecovilla or Alegría, you can go and rent right now and feel it and feel what it feels like. And
Okay, so there's
yeah,
rental opportunities at those.
yeah, I actually have my right now more in Nosara. So my house and I have a guest house both available in Ecovilla, and I even have something in Alegría. So yeah, there's lots of possibilities there. And then Eterna, what I would say is to come to one of our events. It's like you come to the event, you really get to feel what's unfolding there.
Okay. Because I mean, although I completely agree that people that want to go into an eco village have those boxes covered, there's going to be control freaks everywhere. So, I want to make sure that the set of people that I'm buying into isn't, I mean, it was just really a horrible experience that I'm still trying to get out of.
Yeah.
And so the other Billy or someone, the last person that was asking what about the buy-in, Mark, is that true of your earlier projects or starting range?
I think now, I mean, Alegría started at 50,000. Those lots are all been taken now, and I don't know. I'm not involved right now in the sales at Alegría, but it's in the similar range. The lots that are available now are mostly resales because some people just bought sight unseen. And you know what I find, Beth, that's interesting is often the universe knows what she's doing. Like, we had some really complicated people in Alegría, and one by one, and I used to experience this at Punta Mona too. Like, and you just have to be patient and trust that the universe just ejects things that don't work. So like often there'd be people that were just really problematic, and literally one by one, they either got ejected just by the universe, or they just kind of transformed and evolved to the culture.
Nice. Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Great. Yeah, and Beth, I put a link in the chat. There's this new website of rental opportunities in the communities in the San Mateo area. Machua Homes. So I put
Pachuca,
that in the
Pachuca.
chat. Pachuca, thank you.
And you can also reach out to me direct if you want to avoid any kind of fees or anything.
Cool. Thank you, Stephen.
Yeah.
All right, Maz, your turn.
Yes, thank you for giving me the time. I was on the similar call last time, I believe. And through the call, I got the connection with the gentleman in the Verde Energia.
Yes.
And I don't know what's happening because somehow the communication broke. But I thought to come on the call again to see if there is any potential out there. And my goal is, by the way, someone said he or she is 80, therefore they feel lack of energy. I'm way over that, and I'm not feeling any lack of energy. I'm ready to jump the fence and do whatever needs to be done. so, and I have done quite a lot of work that I truly believe is useful to the communities. So I'm not one of those that want to buy a piece of land and build a cottage for myself. I want to be part of a group that what I know and what I can do serves the group. And I can do quite a lot. I can tell you about the growing and building soil, the food, the storage stuff, and so on and so on. So that's what I'm really looking for. I don't know if this gentleman comes back or not. That's why I came on the call to see if there is any opportunity somewhere that I could actually move even on a temporary basis or as a service provider with the intention of what is referred to in the construction of the building rental units is rent to own kind of, or rent to be part of.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I don't want to jump the fence and then, as this lady was talking about, to find people that you cannot coexist with. And I'm not that difficult personally. And I invited few people to come on this call, and because they are kind of thinking the same way, so I thought to raise that and see if that is an opportunity.
Yeah,
Thank you.
great. Yeah, thank you, Maz. I'm sorry you haven't heard back yet from Verde Energia, but hopefully you'll hear back soon. I know people are busy and get a lot of inquiries. I think your question is perfect because I want to make sure people know about the other communities that exist in Costa Rica because there is so very much happening. And our team has put a lot of work into this web page, ecovillagetours.com/Costa Rica. So if you scroll down here, you can see all of our upcoming trips, and you can also see the communities that are featured on the trips, including links to all of their websites that have contact information. So you could go through and contact these communities that seem like they might be a good fit. We have, I think, more than 20 different communities, all that are, for the most part, open to new members. Some also have volunteer opportunities as well. So it does take a little bit of time and a little bit of work to learn about a community, to reach out, build that relationship. But this is a great starting point, whether or not you come on one of our tours, just to use this web page here, the Costa Rica Tours webpage. Okay, so, and we can connect more because I have your email. We can connect more offline too. All
Thank you
right.
so much.
Yeah, thank you. Excellent. Well, and also speaking of honoring the elders, I want to honor Zev, who is here. There you are, Zev, who's done so much in the communities movement. And now you're at Rise in Costa Rica, yes? Excellent.
Yep, we are. My wife and I are here just outside of Rise. We're hoping our home will start being built in the next month and then actually move in the spring.
So exciting. Excellent. And we also have Jason with us, who's our Costa Rica tour guide. And Jason, you're going to be on the call tomorrow to answer more questions that people have about the trips.
Yes, I will. Hope to see you as many there. If you got questions, come tomorrow. Come to the webinar. I'm going to be full of answers. So bring them.
Excellent. We like answers. Yeah, I'm going to put that in the chat as well. So even though you registered for today's event, you also need to register for the event tomorrow if you want to join that. It's going to be 2 hours earlier, and it's going to be a deeper Q&A session focused on Costa Rica ecovillages and the upcoming trips. And we'd love to see you there as well. Okay, so Stephen, thank you so much for even when you were listing all the meetings that you're part of and things that you're doing, just thank you so much for your time today. Any last thoughts you want to share with people as we begin to wrap up? Anything you want to leave us with, or anything that feels like a note of inspiration maybe you want to share, given especially you started so dark, all of these challenges in the world, and then we ended on this light note of the future and what we're building. So yeah, I'm struck by those contrasts right now.
Yeah, and I'm so inspired just that there's so many options, that even a tour like this could even exist. And I also just feel so excited that Costa Rica is such a leader, in this movement and in this, reality. And I feel so honored my part in it. And yeah, like I would just say, like, you deserve to be living a dream right now. Like, this isn't, don't wait till you retire. Don't wait till one day. Like, you can make this happen. And yeah, and I'm here to support in any way I can.
Amazing. Yes, do it. We all deserve to live in community, and we all deserve to be a part of the regenerative future that we need. Thank you. Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you for your questions and your time today. Thank you, Stephen. All your good work.
You're welcome. Thanks so much.
Take care. Bye, folks.
Ciao.